Hey Reddit, throwaway because my wife knows my main, and honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing here except trying not to implode. So, background, Mara and I have been married for 7 years. 7 steady, uneventful, I guess this is what grown-up life is supposed to feel like, years. She's always been the predictable one, same lavender latte every morning, same half-smile when she kissed my cheek before I left for work, same book on her nightstand for months because she likes to reread things until the spine is hanging on by a thread. I used to love that about her. The stability. The quiet. But lately, before everything blew up, something felt off. Like she was performing normal Mara, instead of just being herself. She'd come home later than usual and brush it off with a laugh that felt a little too sharp. She'd say, "Relax, Dan, the world won't end if I run an errand," and I'd just nod even though I had no idea what errand requires a full face of makeup at 8 p.m. And the worst part? I kept telling myself I was imagining it. That she was stressed, or tired, or, hell, maybe I was just needy. I didn't know it then, but this was the quiet rumble before the earthquake. The universe clearing its throat before screaming in my face. Anyway, that's where this starts. With me, trying to pretend everything was fine while the ground under my feet was already cracking. So the moment things really started tilting sideways happened on a random Thursday, one of those nothing days where you wake up, go to work, come home, rinse, repeat. Mara texted me around 5 p.m., saying she was running late from the office, because of some unexpected report she had to finish. Except, Mara hates her job and talks about it the way people talk about food poisoning. She's never voluntarily stayed a minute longer than necessary. But okay. People have busy days. I didn't think much of it until I realized she forgot her lunch that morning. Usually she'd text me at noon complaining dramatically about starving to death in her own cubicle. This time, nothing. When she finally got home, it was like she'd walked into the house mid-argument. Not with me, just in general. She was short, snappy, tossed her bag onto the couch like it had personally offended her. I asked if she was okay. She rolled her eyes. "What, Daniel? Do I need a permission slip to be tired now?" That right there, Mara doesn't talk to me like that. Not even when we fight. She's usually calm, scary calm, like a therapist who's decided she's done being nice. But this? This was different. Almost, panicked. Then I noticed a smear of dirt on her sleeve. Weird, because she works in a climate-controlled office that might as well be a beige cardboard box. I pointed it out. She jerked her arm back like I'd burned her and muttered something about slipping on the way to the car. Except it hadn't rained in 3 days. Tiny things. Stupid things. But they stuck with me, like splinters you can't dig out. It was the first time I felt something cold settle in my stomach, like my body figured out the truth before my brain would let me admit it. Alright, buckle up, because this is where things really started snowballing, and I swear on my left sneaker I could not make this up if I tried. About a week after the dirt on the sleeve incident, Mara suddenly developed a passion for evening walks. Now, this woman has never once in our entire relationship voluntarily exercised. Her idea of cardio is pacing while she waits for pasta water to boil. But suddenly she's all, "I need fresh air, Daniel. It helps me think. You wouldn't understand." Cool. Sure. Walk your stress out. I support self-care. Except these walks got longer. And later. And more secretive. She'd come back flushed, fixing her hair in the hallway mirror like she'd been auditioning for the role of mysterious stranger in a romance movie. And she always showered the second she came in, which was new. Suspiciously new. Then came the phone thing. Mara used to be the queen of leaving her phone anywhere. Kitchen counter. Bathroom sink. Buried in couch cushions like a small electronic fossil. Suddenly she started carrying it around like it was a live grenade only she knew how to defuse. Face down always. Notifications off. And, this one still makes my eyelid twitch, she changed her lock screen password. I asked why. She gave me this tight smile and said, "Privacy, Daniel. It's healthy. Don't be weird about it. Don't be weird." This from the woman who once asked if I still loved her because I didn't react dramatically enough when a fictional character died in a TV show. But okay. Privacy. Healthy. Whatever. The real punch to the gut came 3 days later. I was doing laundry, not heroically, just because our hamper had reached avalanche hazard status. I checked her jacket pockets before tossing it in the wash, and my fingers brushed something crinkly. A receipt. From the greenhouse on Willow Street. Except she hadn't been there in months, at least that's what she told me, because plants are a waste of money, Daniel, we have bills. But there it was, repotting mix. Orchid feed. A fern. And a second lavender latte. Time-stamped during one of her evening walks. My heart did that awful drop and thud thing, like missing a step on the stairs. My brain scrambled for excuses, explanations, anything that made this normal. Maybe she was planning a surprise. Maybe she wanted to get back into gardening. Maybe she ran into someone she knew. Except at the bottom of the receipt, in the handwritten notes section, there was a name. Julian. Underlined twice. I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands literally shook. And I stood there in the laundry room staring at that stupid little piece of paper like it was a bomb I didn't know how to dismantle. Because suddenly all the weirdness wasn't random anymore. Every tiny detail clicked together like magnets snapping into place, forming a picture I really didn't want to see. That was the moment, standing next to a pile of dirty socks, when I realized something was very wrong. And the worst part? I wasn't even angry yet. Just scared. So after finding that receipt, my brain basically turned into a blender, loud, chaotic, and filled with stuff I didn't want to look at too closely. I didn't confront her right away. I'm not proud of that. But I needed to be sure. I needed something undeniable because Mara, well, she's the type who can look you dead in the eye and convince you the sky is mauve if it benefits her. She lies like she breathes, smooth, effortless, and with this annoying confidence that makes you question your own reality. So I started paying attention. And I wish I hadn't. 2 nights later, she went on another walk. Fine. At that point, I'd accepted that walking was apparently her new religion. But she forgot her scarf. She's always cold, so I grabbed it and figured I'd catch her at the end of our street. Except she wasn't at the end of the street. She wasn't anywhere near our usual neighborhood loop. Instead, I spotted her at the bus stop, laughing. Hard. The kind of laugh she hasn't given me in months. Her whole body leaned forward like she was being pulled by a magnet. And right next to her, a guy with messy dark hair, rolled up sleeves, and a stupidly charming posture, like he was permanently halfway into a romantic novel cover shoot. Julian. I didn't know his face before, but the moment I saw him, something in my gut just said, yeah. That's him. Mara noticed me before he did. And the shift in her expression? Instant. 1 second she was glowing, the next she looked like she'd swallowed a battery. She jumped up from the bench. Daniel? What are you doing here? I raised the scarf. You forgot this. She blinked way too fast. Right. Of course. I was, just waiting for the bus. Small problem, buses stopped running an hour earlier. I checked. Julian stood up then, offering this polite but confused smile. He didn't know who I was yet. Or maybe he did, and he just thought he could out-charm the situation. Is everything okay? He asked her. Mara shot him a look, one of those do not say another word looks, before turning back to me with a saccharine voice that made my teeth hurt. Daniel, this is Julian. He works at the greenhouse. I told you about him, remember? She absolutely had never mentioned him. Not once. Not even a hint. I didn't respond. I just watched her. Really watched her. Her hands kept clenching and unclenching. She positioned herself between us, like she was buffering us from each other. Her breathing was too fast. Her voice too high. Every alarm bell in my body was blaring, but I stayed calm, not because I'm strong, but because I felt weirdly detached, like I was observing someone else's life. Julian tried again. We were just talking. About plants. Mara cut in. Loudly. Too loudly. He gives great advice. About plants. That's all. She sounded like a malfunctioning GPS stuck on one word. He looked uncomfortable. Guilty, even. His eyes flicked between us, and I swear there was a whole conversation happening in his head that he didn't know how to voice. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just said, we should go home. And Mara's face shifted again, panic, irritation, defensiveness, all tangled together. But she followed me. And the entire walk back, she acted like I had ruined something. Like I was the one who needed to explain myself. That's when the anger finally started simmering. Quiet, low, but hot. Because if there's one thing worse than being betrayed, it's being treated like an inconvenience for noticing it. The second we walked through the front door, Mara spun on her heel like I'd dragged her into an interrogation chamber instead of our living room. She threw her scarf onto the couch. What the hell was that, Daniel? I blinked. What was that? I literally brought her a scarf and caught her at a bus stop with a guy who looked like he writes poems in chalk on sidewalks. I kept my voice steady. I just wanted to check on you. You said you were going for a walk. Her jaw clenched. I was walking. I'm allowed to sit down at a bus stop, you know. Sure, I said. But the buses weren't running. That shut her up, for about 3 seconds. Then the lies hit. Rapid fire. Sloppy. Almost insulting in how little effort she put into them. Oh, right, I meant the other bus. The special route. For late-night passengers. I raised an eyebrow. A secret bus route? Yes, Daniel. God. Do you have to question everything I say? She stalked past me into the kitchen, yanked open the fridge, grabbed a water bottle, slammed the door, and spun back around like she was ready for round 2. You embarrassed me, she snapped. I stared at her. Embarrassed you? How? Her lips twisted into a bitter little smirk. By barging in like some jealous hall monitor. You made Julian uncomfortable. Right. Julian. The guy she definitely wasn't meeting behind my back. So what's going on with you two? I finally asked. Calm. Too calm. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might detach. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's just someone I talk to because you've been checked out. That one hit me. Checked out. I've been the same steady, boring, consistent guy I've always been. The one who makes sure her car has gas, who cooks dinner twice a week, who remembers her mom's birthday so she doesn't have to. I swallowed hard. I'm not checked out, Mara. Well, it feels like you are, she shot back. And Julian actually listens to me. He appreciates my thoughts. I blinked again. About plants? She froze. Then her face twisted like she wanted to throw the water bottle at me. You know what? I don't have to justify myself to you, she said, flipping into martyr mode without missing a beat. You're being paranoid. And controlling. And honestly, it's exhausting. Paranoid. Controlling. Exhausting. The trifecta of gaslighting. Something in me cracked a little. Not a loud crack. More like the sound of a hairline fracture, quiet but painful. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked, "Are you cheating on me?" Her reaction was instant and dramatic, hand to chest, eyes wide, mouth open like I'd accused her of arson. Wow. Wow. I cannot believe you'd even say that to me. She shook her head, hair whipping over her shoulder. You're insane. Seriously, Daniel. You're losing it. She stormed past me and slammed the bedroom door. I stood there, staring at the wood grain like it might give me answers. Because she didn't say no. She said I was insane. She said I was paranoid. She said I was embarrassing. But she never once, not even for a second, said she wasn't cheating. And that silence told me more than any lie she threw at me that night. The next morning felt like waking up inside a bruise. Mara acted like nothing happened, like she hadn't stormed off, gaslit me into the floor, or implied I was mentally unraveling. She was humming while making coffee, wearing her soft blue sweater, the "I'm innocent and approachable" sweater, moving around the kitchen like a well-trained sitcom wife. I walked in, still raw from the night before, and she flashed me this bright, brittle smile. "Morning. Want eggs?" Eggs. Like my world wasn't dangling by a thread. I said no. She shrugged, already bored. The moment she turned around, her smile dropped, like it had been on a timer. And then her phone buzzed. Normally she'd ignore it or check casually. But this time, she lunged for it. Literally lunged, like it was about to explode and reveal all her secrets. That told me everything I needed to know. She caught me watching and pasted on this annoyed expression. "It's just work, Daniel. Relax." But her hand was shaking. And she shoved the phone face down again, almost too hard, like she needed to physically pin it to the table to keep me from seeing whatever was on it. 5 minutes later, she grabbed her keys. "I'm heading out early. Need to stop somewhere before work." "Where?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Does it matter? You don't trust me anyway." That little line. That was her new favorite weapon. She used it like a shield, a smokescreen, a get-out-of-jail-free card. I didn't respond, and she huffed like I'd inconvenienced her by existing. Then she left. And something in my chest finally slid into place, not comfortably, but correctly. Like my brain had been trying to force a puzzle piece into the wrong spot, and now the real picture was forming. I sat there at the kitchen table for a long time. Just breathing. Just thinking. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked our phone bill. Before anyone comes for me, yeah, I get it. Privacy. Boundaries. Trust. All that. But trust goes both ways, and she'd already smashed hers like a dropped plate. The phone bill didn't lie. Dozens of texts. Unknown number. At weird hours. Even during the times she told me she was too tired to talk. Even on nights she climbed into bed next to me and pretended to be asleep. And the call log? Calls lasting 30, 40, 50 minutes. During her late work nights. During her walks. A call made 4 minutes after she slammed the bedroom door on me. And the number at the center of all of it matched the greenhouse's business line prefix. My stomach twisted so hard I had to sit down again. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This wasn't paranoia. This was evidence. Hard, ugly, undeniable evidence. I felt this tidal wave of emotions crash over me: anger, betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak. But weirdly underneath all of it was this quiet, steady core of clarity. She didn't just cheat. She lied. Over and over. To my face. To herself. Without hesitation. Without guilt. And somehow, knowing the truth hurt less than doubting it. That morning became the line in the sand. The moment I stopped second-guessing myself. The moment I decided I wouldn't let her twist my reality anymore. Because if she wanted to build a whole secret life, fine. But she wasn't going to drag me through the darkness with her. By the time Mara got home that evening, I'd rehearsed what I was going to say at least 50 times. None of it survived contact with reality. She walked in smelling like rain and eucalyptus, way too fresh for someone who apparently spent the day at her boring, fluorescent-lit job. Her hair was slightly damp. Her sweater was different from the one she'd left wearing. And she had this floaty, distracted look, like she was living in some private dreamscape. The sight of her nearly made my heart pound out of my chest, in anger, not love. She tossed her bag down, kicked off her shoes, and was halfway toward the fridge when I said, "We need to talk." Her whole body tensed. Just for a fraction of a second. If I'd blinked, I would have missed it. But I didn't. She turned slowly, wearing that irritated, put-upon expression she loved so much. "About what, Daniel?" I didn't dance around it. "About you and Julian." She froze. Completely. Like someone hit pause. Then she laughed. Laughed. Heavy, sarcastic, dripping with contempt. "Oh my God, this again? Are you seriously still on this?" I didn't flinch. I checked the phone bill. Her face dropped the smile so fast it was dizzying. "Wow. Very cool. Spying on me. Healthy behavior, Daniel. Very normal. Are you cheating on me?" I asked again. Direct. Simple. And she still wouldn't say no. Instead she scoffed. "You're seriously losing it. This is embarrassing for you." I pulled the printed call log from my pocket. Yeah, I printed it. I needed something solid. Something she couldn't twist into origami with her words. I put it on the counter between us. Her eyes barely flicked down before she launched into an Oscar-worthy performance. "Oh, that's nothing. He called about plant stuff. And I texted him back because he needed help with something at the shop." "At midnight?" "Yes," she snapped. "Some businesses don't run on your schedule, Daniel." "He's a greenhouse employee," I said quietly. "Not a surgeon." She rolled her eyes so violently I'm shocked they didn't detach. "You're being dramatic. So you're saying nothing is happening?" I pushed. She crossed her arms, chin lifted like she was on trial and had decided to defend herself with pure arrogance. "I never said nothing was happening. I said it's not what you think. That line. That line right there is when people stop pretending." My stomach twisted. "Then what is happening?" She turned away. "I'm tired. I'm done with this conversation." I stepped forward, not blocking her, just trying to stay in the moment. "Mara." She spun back around. "Fine. You want to know? He's someone I can talk to. Someone who actually listens. Someone who," she cut herself off. "Someone who what?" I asked. Her face hardened into stone. "Someone who makes me feel alive. Happy. Not trapped in the same boring loop every day." There it was. The truth. Ugly. In her voice, in her eyes. My heart felt like it cracked straight down the middle. She kept going, because apparently hurting me wasn't enough, she needed to twist the knife. "You're predictable, Daniel. Safe. Too safe. And I'm suffocating. Julian understands me. He gets me. And he doesn't make everything about him." I couldn't help it, I laughed once. A bitter, hollow sound. "Everything about me? You've been living a whole other life behind my back." "Oh, grow up," she snapped. "Not everything is some grand betrayal because you don't understand boundaries." Boundaries. The woman who'd been texting another man at midnight lecturing me about boundaries. "I'm done lying for you," I said quietly. She blinked. "Lying for me? Are you insane?" "For you. To you. Around you. All of it." I swallowed hard. "I asked you a question. One last time. Are you cheating?" And finally, she cracked. Her voice softened, but not with remorse. With annoyance. "Fine. Yes. Are you happy now?" The world went silent. Completely silent. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just felt everything inside me settle into a cold, calm clarity. She watched me, waiting for an explosion. Instead, I said, "Thank you for telling me." And for the first time that night, she looked scared. After she admitted it, finally, brutally, almost casually, we just stood there in this awful silence. It felt like the kind of silence right after a window shatters, sharp, dangerous, hanging in the air. Mara was the first to speak. Of course she was. She crossed her arms like she was the one who'd been wronged. "So, what now? Are you done interrogating me?" I stared at her. Interrogating. That was the word she chose after admitting she'd been sneaking around with a guy from a greenhouse like it was her personal romance novel setting. I said, "Now we talk about what this means." She groaned. Actually groaned. "Daniel, don't make this dramatic. People cheat. It happens. We can work through it if you stop acting like a victim." I had to take a second because my brain short-circuited at the audacity. Acting like a victim? I repeated. She shrugged, already wandering into the living room like she was bored of the conversation. "You're not the only one who's unhappy, you know. You think this marriage is perfect because you're comfortable. But I've been dying inside for years." This was news to me. Big, explosive, soap opera level news. I followed her. "You never said anything. Because every time I try to talk about feelings, you get, I don't know, overly logical. It's like trying to have an emotional conversation with a bookshelf. I couldn't even be offended, I was too tired. So instead of talking to me, you talked to Julian." She threw her hands up. "He was there. And he listened. And he made me feel like I mattered." Her voice cracked, just a little. But not in sadness. In frustration. Like she was angry that I didn't understand her justification for detonating our life. I sat down on the edge of the armchair. "So you cheated because he paid attention to you?" "No," she snapped. "I cheated because I needed something you weren't giving me. Connection. Excitement. Life. By meeting him behind my back." She waved a dismissive hand. "God, you're so black and white about everything. Not everything is some big moral crisis, Daniel." I stared at her, because she genuinely believed that. She thought adultery was some messy little slip-up like forgetting to buy milk. Then, out of nowhere, her phone buzzed again. We both looked at it. Her eyes widened just a fraction. That was all I needed. I said, "Is that him?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. She grabbed the phone, screened the notification, and then sighed, shoving it in her pocket like she couldn't believe she had to deal with two men at once. That tiny gesture hit me harder than the admission itself. The contempt. The carelessness. The sheer disrespect. "I think you should stay with your sister tonight," I said quietly. Instant explosion. "What? No. Why should I leave? This is my house too." I rubbed my temples. "Because I need space to think." She stomped closer, jabbing a finger in my direction. "Oh, so now you want space. Convenient." "I want respect," I said. "And right now, being near you hurts." That surprised her. Not enough to make her remorseful, she doesn't do remorse, but enough to make her flinch. She grabbed a coat, a bag, and stormed out with a final jab. Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone. We can still fix this if you stop being dramatic. The door slammed. And suddenly the house felt bigger than it's ever felt. Too big. Too quiet. Too empty. I slid down onto the floor like someone had unplugged me. The grief didn't hit all at once. It came in waves: shock, anger, sadness, disbelief. I felt betrayed, humiliated, stupid, furious, and, underneath it all, something cold and painfully honest. Relief. Because the truth was out. Because I wasn't being gaslit anymore. Because the version of Mara I'd been clinging to didn't exist. And I cried. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, steady stream that didn't stop for a long time. Not for her. Not for us. But for the life I thought I had. The life she'd burned without even looking back. Mara didn't come home that night. Not that I expected her to. She sent one text, short, clipped, and full of the usual attitude. At my sister's. Don't do anything dumb. We'll talk tomorrow. Talk tomorrow. Like we were hashing out a billing error instead of the implosion of our marriage. I didn't respond. That night, I barely slept. My mind kept replaying everything, her shifting stories, the late-night calls, the lie-filled confrontation, the way she reacted like I had wronged her. My body felt like it was vibrating with leftover adrenaline and heartbreak. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with Julian at the bus stop. Morning came whether I wanted it to or not. I made coffee but couldn't drink it. I kept glancing at the front door like she might waltz in with a pastry and a lecture about me being overly emotional. The silence was suffocating, but at least it was honest. No fake humming, no manufactured normalcy, no lies disguised as routines. Around noon, Mara finally called. The second I answered, she started talking over me. Before you start, Daniel, I've been thinking about last night, and I want to be clear, I'm not the villain here. I almost laughed. Okay. Then who is? She huffed. You're making this way bigger than it needs to be. People cheat. Couples move past it all the time. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Do you hear yourself? Don't patronize me, she snapped. I made a mistake. A mistake, Daniel. And instead of forgiving me, you're blowing up our entire life. Forgiving you? I said, trying to keep my voice level. You didn't come to me with honesty. I caught you. You lied repeatedly. You told me I was paranoid. She groaned loudly. Oh my God, are you really still on that? Fine. I lied. People lie when they're scared. And I was scared because I knew you'd react like this. Like what, exactly? Sad. Devastated. Human. She continued before I could speak. Look, I talked to my sister, and she agrees you're taking this too seriously. Awesome. The sister who thinks horoscopes are legally binding was now weighing in on my marriage. And, she added, like she was offering a prize, I think we should go to couples counseling. I blinked. Counseling? Yes, she said firmly. Because I'm willing to fix this. Are you? Fix this. Not apologize. Not take responsibility. Not end the affair. Fix this. As if the problem was my reaction, not her choices. I took a long breath. A grounding one. Then I said the words that had been forming since the moment she walked out the door. I want a separation. Silence. Heavy, electric silence. Then she exploded. You're insane. You want to throw our whole marriage away because I made one mistake. One mistake. I repeated quietly. How long has this been going on? No answer. I pressed. Mara. Still nothing. Just breathing on the other end of the line, uneven, guilty, telling. Finally she muttered, a few months. My heart clenched. Months. She was cheating for months while kissing me goodbye every morning. I steadied myself. I'm not staying in a marriage where you don't respect me. This is absurd, she snapped. You're not thinking straight. You'll regret this. No, I said. For the first time in a long time, I think I'm finally thinking clearly. She tried every tactic after that, anger, guilt, crying, the performative kind, bargaining, manipulation. She even claimed she and Julian weren't serious, as if that made torching our marriage somehow less catastrophic. But I didn't bend. Not this time. Not ever again. When I hung up, my hands were shaking, but my heart was steady. I wasn't choosing pride. Or revenge. Or anger. I was choosing myself. The version of Daniel who deserved love that wasn't conditional, distracted, or secret. The version who wouldn't accept crumbs just because he was afraid to ask for the whole loaf. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt something surprising. Hope. A week after that phone call, Mara came by to pick up some of her things. She texted me beforehand, demanding I not make it weird. Right. Because she was the one who got cheated on. I stayed calm. Civil, detached in a way that seemed to bother her more than if I'd screamed. She walked in, looking around the house like it was unfamiliar. Maybe it was. Maybe she'd spent so long building a secret life somewhere else that this place no longer felt like hers. She kept trying to start arguments, little jabs, digs about how cold I was being, how I was throwing away everything for nothing, how Julian wasn't even going to be a thing. That last one stung less than she thought it would. Because I'd learned something, her choices had nothing to do with Julian. They were about her. Her emptiness. Her thrill-seeking. Her lies. Her inability to sit with her own restlessness. She could have found any guy, anywhere, with any name. He just happened to be in a greenhouse. At one point she looked at me, really looked, and I saw it, she expected me to break. To cry. To beg. To negotiate. To make it easier for her to feel like the misunderstood heroine of her own story. But I didn't break. I said, I hope you find what you're looking for. She scoffed. You're being dramatic again. But there was a crack in her voice. A real one. Not regret. Not guilt. Fear. Because she finally realized that for once, she had no control. She left with 2 boxes and an attitude. No hug. No apology. No attempt to fix anything. Just a final, bitter, you'll regret this, Daniel, before the door clicked shut. But I didn't regret it. Not when I changed the locks. Not when I called a lawyer. Not when I packed the rest of her things and left them with her sister. Not when the papers were finally filed. Not when I slept through the night for the first time in months. The emotional storm didn't pass immediately. Healing wasn't instant. Some days I woke up angry. Some days I woke up relieved. Some days I felt both at once. But slowly, the fog lifted. The house felt less haunted. I stopped checking shadows for her voice. I stopped blaming myself for her choices. And I realized something huge. Being cheated on didn't make me unlovable. Being lied to didn't make me naive. Being hurt didn't make me weak. It made me human. And choosing to walk away, that made me strong. Now I'm focusing on rebuilding my confidence, my routines, my sense of self. I'm reconnecting with friends I drifted from. I'm learning to sit with my own thoughts without fear. I'm figuring out what I want from my life. And if anyone reading this is in the same place I was, fogged, confused, doubting your own instincts, here's what I've learned. Asterisk if your gut whispers, listen. Asterisk if someone lies once, they'll lie twice. Asterisk you're not crazy for noticing patterns. Asterisk love does not require self-abandonment. Asterisk and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from someone who refuses to walk toward you. A marriage ended. A heart broke. A truth came out. But so did I. And honestly, I'm finally breathing again.